To T-Boys TV, we are back again with a hat show. Obviously, it has been a while. Obviously, I did a stream for the first time in a month and a bit the other day, and it felt quite weird, but it was good to be back on. Obviously, episode 109 of the Hatter Show. And as you can see in today's, obviously, we'll be talking about pre-season, just as a whole, what we thought of it. And then obviously discussing the window so far, because obviously there's still quite a while left of it. And then obviously later on in the week, we'll obviously preview the first Premier League game for Luton, which is obviously going to be an interesting one, going to be a good test away against Brighton. So, yeah, like always, I'm joined with my dad. How are we, Dad? It's been a while.
Yeah, mate. Hope everyone's well. And, looking forward to it. We was going to do the Luton show tomorrow, weren't we? But watched quite a bit of football this weekend and just watched the Community Shield and that. Just felt right up for it. So let's go.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always going to be today or tomorrow that we were going to do it. But let's get into some comments and then we will get into the transfers so far and, the departures, etc. And all of that. Big up to Stephen. He says, big up Ty, big up yourself, mate. Big up to Stephen as well. Yeah, on time, bang on time. Yeah, we were ready quite early, to be fair. Stephen says, big up to Daz, welcome back. There you go. Big up, Proper Football is back. Yeah, exactly. Big up to yourself. Chris, he says, I hope you lads are well. Yeah, with good thanks. Good thanks, mate. Big up to Hanno. He says, yes, people. Big up yourself, Hanno, mate. And then big up to Jackie, who has changed the picture. New season, new beginnings sort of thing. She says, hi, Ty, Daz. Exciting. Absolutely. And if you haven't noticed, have a look. Oh, no, not that way. That way at the top right, just above my dash. You can see a lovely Premier League thing, you know what I mean? I had to get that in. But, obviously, let's get into the signings. So, obviously, the first one we're going to talk about is an outgoing. More so, I'm going to let my dad have his thoughts because, obviously, I've done a video, etc. And that is Isted. Obviously, he went out to Charlton permanently. It was an interesting one because I thought he'd end up back going to Barnsley. Obviously, done very well there, especially in the playoff final. It's very unlucky not to, be on the winning side. Made two really good saves in that game and just unlucky right at the end. Obviously, went to Charlton. What did you make of that move when that was announced?
Probably expected it. Like you said, Barnsley, but then it might have been location. Maybe he wanted to be closer to the area, kind of like London or whatever. He hasn't started yet, but it's quite expected. He had good times with us, good moments with us, but like some players over the past, especially 3-4 seasons, we sort of move ahead a little bit, and then we got to get better. You got a bit quality now, so he hasn't really had a long run in the team to for that to happen. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, he's come on and done well in that, but that's because of the Luton way and the Luton spirit and that, and he's been with the lads for a long time. So, he is a good keeper, but he needs to kick on his career now. I wish him all the best.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it was one of them, where fans wanted to see him more, but at the same time, maybe, they saw something that we didn't on training sessions because, I thought he'd get a run out in the FA Cup games last season. But he just didn't. Especially with how he was in that Chelsea game when he come on, a couple of years ago. But again, like I've said, I wish him all the best as well. And he'll do well. He'll do well when he eventually, gets given that chance over at Charlton. And then the next one, first signing of this, Premier League season. And for now, I'm going to say Chio, obviously from Rotherham, was obviously the first signing. I'll get a bit into this one because no one's really heard my thoughts on it as well. For me, I'm not going to sit here and say I watched him, religiously when he was at Rotherham. But from clips I have seen of him, he's good. Obviously, we've now seen him in pre-season as well, and it looks like he's sort of, his role going into the new season is going to be not necessarily what Fred's was, but in the sense where he's going to come on, be a player that's going to, be, put on an impact in sometimes. And obviously, when Fred come on, he was as a wing back. I think when Chio will come on, he'll be more, attacking, maybe come on for a striker, etc. Because you have seen in pre-season him play alongside Morris. Ipswich, I say away at Colchester's ground was an example of that. But from what I've seen of him, he's looked good so far. Obviously, the highlight of his career so far, you'd probably say, was that goal he scored for Ireland over Red Kick. But yeah, I think it's a good signing. But yeah, what did you make when that signing was announced?
Yeah, obviously we're quite comfortable with our signings, and we have been over the years. But then you've got like so-called experts commentating and going, "What? They ain't going to be doing that much signing certain players from like, bottom end of the League One players, this, that, and the other." He's big, strong, he's athletic. He's obviously got a lot of potential. He plays as a forward. I think mainly played on the right for Rotherham, whereas we've been trying him up front, and he probably could play across anywhere, up front. So, he looks good. Obviously, he played for Ireland. He's there already. He's played against like Belgium, I think, Spain, teams like that.
Yeah.
So, he's a confident player, and yeah, like that's the way we recruit. Other teams do it as well. He was linked with Villa at one point. Brentford, actually, the model we're kind of following, signed him a couple of seasons ago. Obviously, I think quite well. He was a bit younger then, and I think they're better players in that position. He's had a lot of appearances for Rotherham, and that's in a no disrespect to them, but they're fighting all the time. So it's a player that fits our mold, because that's what we're going to be doing in the Premier League. So yeah, it's a good signing. When you think about it, because we don't just sign players just for willy nilly. There's a lot of reasoning behind why we get types of players in, and just see it, the whole reason for it. So yeah, good signing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's go through some comments. David says, "Hope you lads okay. Hope you've been keeping well." Yep, we've been good, thanks, mate. Hope you've been well as well. I know. Then on time tea, is this a new trend for the season?
Right. Needs to be.
Hopefully, yeah, it does need to be. It does need to be a little bit better, don't it? Stephen says, "Best of luck to Iceland, deserved first team football." Yeah, and it was always going to be difficult for him to get it at Luton. That's for sure. Chio has an eye for goal, but he's very physical, which we need. Yeah, that's another thing as well, which I've seen in the pre-season. He's been getting stuck in, and I think it was against Ipswich, where he was running and he just bodied the guy, and I was like, gee, yeah, that's good. So yeah, no, absolutely. Because sometimes what you see with a lot of attackers as well is they've got a lot of pace, but they're not. They are, physical, but they're not as physical, sort of thing. They've got that much compared to pace, sort of thing. So he does look good. Chris says, more versatile attacker for me. So yeah, there we go with that. It's a Luton signing. Luton love versatile players, which is a good thing. Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, he will eventually get games, that's for sure. So that is that. And then moving on to the next player. which obviously we love getting players from Barnsley, as we know, especially over the years. Woodrow getting him back, Morris. There's a few more, but I can't think from the top of my head. Obviously, we've got another one, Anderson. Obviously, player with a lot of potential. Gets bigged up by a lot of people. Obviously, the player final, he wasn't featured in that, but obviously done very well anyway. Throughout the season for Barnsley, and is someone that we've been keeping our eye on for a while. And obviously we got him through the door, and obviously we needed a centre back. He's not necessarily the Bradley replacement, but in the sense of replacing him, sort of thing, he is. Obviously I've seen him a bit in pre-season, and he looks very composed. And obviously, I don't want to give too much away in the sense of my lineup against Brighton, but I think with Osho and Burke being out, you'd probably go with him, to be honest. He's looked good so far. He's even had a few chances from set pieces where he's been unlucky not to score. He had one the other day against Wolves. But yeah, it's a good signing. And he's raring to go. In his interview when he joins to make that step up to the Premier League, and I think he'll do very well with us. I think he's got one of them mentalities as well, where he can sooner than people think. Obviously, it will be Lockyer at the moment, but at some point be up there for, the captaincy. Up there with players to be in the leadership group, sort of thing. I think he's that good. But your thoughts when we made this signing, Dad?
Yeah, good. Again, I hadn't heard too much, because we like to concentrate on that, unless certain players do stand out. But yeah, he's a very good signing. He's very athletic. He reads the game extremely well. From the highlights I've seen him in action in the friendlies. He's young, he's hungry. Obviously, as well, a couple of certain players that have come to us as well in the Premier League because they can get a chance to get spotted by their country as well. And his all-round game is pretty decent. And he's good technically on the ball. Like you say, he's not a direct replacement for Bradley, but we need competition. You need at least two positions for each position. 2 players, for each position. So it's perfect. And again, good signing. Probably paid a couple of mil for him, but what? Again. Yeah, he was in League One, but he's definitely at least a Championship defender, and probably can make that step up. So another good signing by the club. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
He was the captain at Barnsley as well. Played for a good couple of seasons as well. So
and that's also that also links into what I say about him being in that leadership sort of group. He's been a captain before anyway, so yeah.
It makes sense that we've signed a lot of players who have been at Barnsley or directly from Barnsley, but it shows that they've got a good recruitment model as well.
Yeah.
At one point, they were above us, like for a couple of seasons. We had what was his name, Cameron McGeehan, and they took him off of us. Do you know what I mean? And then they ended up getting Woodrow a couple of seasons ago, and I remember him used to play for us, and he went to Fulham, and I was like, that's a good signing, so it's all good, It ticks all the boxes, and that's what you do. You recruit diligently and well, Other teams in the Premier League have done that. Liverpool have done that quite a few times. They need to probably do that again, but maybe not so much in the English leagues, but in the other leagues. Luis Suarez was a perfect example. So some of the signings that you have made, that they weren't necessarily big names. Even Van Dijk, really, at the time, he was a good defender. And I remember I was working with a guy a few years ago, Celtic fan, Scottish guy, and he was saying that he's a very good player. Like we won't be able to keep hold of him and stuff, but. I think did he go to Celtic, Southampton, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. So, you know, you've done it. Well, you've done it, should I say? Liverpool have done it via Southampton. They signed a lot of Southampton's players. Southampton's recruitment policy has gone to shit. Let's be honest, and that's why they're in the position they're in. But and their management policy, but we won't go much more into that. You know what I mean? But you know, they've got a decent manager now. He likes to pass the ball. I don't think he needs. For me, he needs to switch it up a bit. You have to in the Championship, but yeah, good signing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's go through the comments on Anderson's signing. Chris says Anderson was too good for Barnsley in that league. Shocked he took jump up to Premier League. Fair play to him though. I thought Championship level for him. Stephen says Anderson, cool, composed, reads game very well. Yeah, exactly. That's what I've seen of him so far. Chris also saying he has no doubts that he will do well for us. And yeah, that is that on that. Moving on to the next player that we're going to talk about is the loan one, which I was quite interested about. That's Jack Walton. He went out on loan to Dundee. Now, obviously, he come in. You know, we haven't seen any of him yet because he hasn't, you know, had that opportunity. But he's gone out on loan. You know, at the time, you know, this was when the Begovic rumours were quite heavy. So we thought he was maybe probably going to get him. And it seemed like that was the reason, because obviously his goalkeeper situation has been longer than a lot of people would have thought to actually get one. You know, we probably thought we was going to, you know, there was already a replacement in place, hence why we loaned him out as early as we did. But it's an interesting one. You know, I wouldn't say I'm annoyed, but at the same time, it's one of them where I do want to see him play. You know, not even if he starts, just you know, at some point I want to see what he's like. But you know, it makes sense definitely if we end up getting a lone keeper. A backup keeper. Obviously, we've been linked with John Ruddy today, which I'd be very happy about if we got him as a backup. So yeah, it's an interesting one, this one. But I reckon he'll do well at Dundee. That's for sure. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Your thoughts on this one, Dad?
Yeah, initially, like obviously we signed him and Macy in January. You know, a lot of people are not too keen on Macy. Questioned that, but you know, I think Rob Edwards signed him, not Nathan Jones. Second, you know, this time. But yeah, initially I thought, right, that's it. Someone's definitely coming in because you know we signed him for a reason. And yeah, I get that we do loan players out, but it was just the fact that someone was coming in immediately that there must be. Obviously, the Macy situation, Portsmouth wanted him, but I think he's probably expecting more money than they're willing to pay. But I think it'll be it is a good move for him. You know, it's quite far away from the club, potentially his family and stuff as well. He's probably guaranteed to be starting, otherwise he wouldn't have went there. You know, and I will be looking out for him. And is it Dundee? I think he went to
Dundee. Yeah,
I'm going to be looking out for their results, and if they're available to watch, I'll be checking them out. So yeah, like I say, it did look like the Begovic rumours were very heavy, but I feel that because around them still the Kaminsky rumours were still sort of a little bit around then, I think, in the background. We've probably said to him, you'll be the backup keeper. And he's probably just thought, nah, I don't want to be a backup keeper. I want to be starting. And, you know, we could have missed a bullet there. You know, he has got a lot of experience, hell of a lot of experience now. But I don't know, because he let him fall at the weekend against some other team. I can't remember who it was, but in the game before that, in the friendly, he let him 4 or 5 against Oxford as well. So, you know, yeah, QPR, I think, are in a lot of danger, but still. So I do think that we was definitely looking at him and he turned us down. That's what I think. But yeah, now it's kind of resolved and looking to get properly resolved, and we know that can happen. You've just got to be patient sometimes. It's a good move for Walton.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, it is. He'll do well there. I have no doubts about that. Let's get into some comments. There's already snobbery about Luton signings being unproven in Premier League, which is nonsense. Bournemouth first spell in Premier League, Brentford, Brighton, all yeah, exactly. And that's the one I always mention. You know, when people go on about these signings,
I would just touch on that as well, because Bournemouth, if we take it back, yeah, when we had that minus 40, 30 points deduction, they had minus 17. They managed to stay up with Eddie Howe, went up through the leagues, all right, and very similar to us, they still had some of the players that took them from League Two or League One to the Premier League in their team, in their defence as well. You know, they had certain players and they adapted to the Premier League and they've done well, and they had a similar size stadium, and a good manager and a good process. That's exactly what we've got. And, you know, I presume they were heavily tipped to go straight back down and be violated and etc. So, yeah, proof's in the pudding.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
that's like I was saying. That's the one I always mention. Brentford. You know, people go on about unproven Premier League squad. You know, but at the end of the day, look at what I'm not saying we're going to do what Brentford done, but don't underestimate them. You know, sort of thing. But people have their opinions, you know, and it's just one of them. But
a lot of people have their opinions without actually checking any facts.
And that's the thing that annoys me. Yeah, like just Wolves TV. That's all I've got to say. That's all I've got to say. On that friendly the other day, you know, you know. Stephen thinks Walton might potentially be in a window when he comes back potentially. For me, it depends if we get a backup keeper and it is Ruddy, then I don't know.
No, I don't. Maybe. I personally because I'm thinking when we signed him, yeah, we were still aiming to get promoted.
Yeah.
So I just don't think that just because we have, you know what I mean? I think he's still obviously.
But then again, we do need to give him that chance.
Yeah, but with keepers, you've got to be careful, especially when you first, if you are in the Premier League, even the top end of the Championship, you've got to be careful. So I don't think he'll be. Macy should be in the shop window, and Shea will be in the shop window. But he's one for the future, and they've obviously, and again, we signed him from Barnsley as well, yeah. So
yeah, true actually, yeah.
Yeah, he ain't going. I don't think he'll be in the shop window. No.
I think he'll need, yeah. Even if we see him in like a friendly or something.
If he has a season, then he will, depending on what happens with our season, then he will be back up, or even fighting for the number one position.
Yeah, potentially. Big up to Bailey. He says, big up, I went to Tamworth yesterday, kicked off versus Scunthorpe. Geez, we're playing them in the St Johnson's Paint Trophy final. You know what I mean? So it is crazy. You know, even seeing like Yeovil in the National League South, it's just mental. Big up, Shay says, hi T, big up yourself. There we go. Yeah, that's one I am going to get into, actually. We'll get into that one next because that's not actually on this thing that I'm looking at all the signings on. So, yeah, there we go with that. Mendes Gomez. Chris's comment on it quickly. Mendes Gomez better than League One. Him and Bolton will smash League One. Not looking forward to going there away. Obviously, Carlisle fan, as we know. But, yeah, Mendes Gomez. He went to Bolton. It's reported... They've said undisclosed fee. Nothing I've seen to come out since, but apparently it was going to be, I think it's 300k that he was going to go there for. I'm not really going to go into this one because obviously I've done a video about it. So how did you feel when you heard this news break, Dad?
I really like him. I think he's a good player. He's really good technically. I did feel at Luton before he went out on loan, he wasn't as physical as the rest of the team. I think that was the problem. It did look like he improved that when he was at Fleetwood, was it? It looked really good for them. But they're League One. So, you know, I think he's a good player. I think if he bulks up a bit, works on his physical, you know, prowess or whatever, then he's a really good signing. That's a bargain, 300k. But you know, the club knows best and etc. So it's what it is. But he's no doubt got ability, and that's another one of them. We've stepped up more, and he hasn't had that game experience. He hasn't had that time to embed with the other team members, etc., etc. But he was still a decent signing for us, and he could have. You know, if we were still in the championship, I don't think we would have got rid of him.
Yeah.
So it's that 25-man squad. We need to make sure it's as strong as possible, and you know, he does go down that pecking order because he hasn't really played for us. So that's what it is. And we've got money to spend, so that's all it is. But yeah, I think he'll do well. I think Bolton, for me, probably are going to win the league, and he's not quite a star. I think he's been on the bench, but I'm sure once he gets going, he'll do well. And it wouldn't surprise me if we ended up getting him in the FA Cup or something, and he scores some overhead kick or some madness goal against us. So yeah, wish him all the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was something I said about him, was his physicality. I felt he had to improve on that. I felt he had everything else to his game already. You know, even you talk about, you know, great goals there. Obviously, he did score that goal against Newport, didn't he? It was a very good goal. The only highlight of that game, if we're being totally honest, for our side anyway. But yeah, it was one that I'm gutted about. But at the same time, you know, was he really going to get... Because the problem is as well, we don't really play with wingers. It might change this season, but we don't really, and that's predominantly what he is, isn't it? So it was one of them. But yeah, like I say, 300k. I was a little bit surprised about that, but is what it is. Is what it is. Like you say, the money's there. So it's just one of them. But the next one is a loan. Player that's went out on loan. I'd sort of expected it, and that is Elliot Thorpe. You know, obviously went on loan to Shrewsbury. I haven't really spoke about this actually. My thoughts on it, like I said, I thought it was going to happen. You know, I felt it was going to be difficult for him to get into the team at the moment. Really, the only times you'd maybe see him is the cut. You know, Burton when he went on loan there, it didn't work. You know, I think he started a few games at the start and then he just didn't really play. And then obviously he came in for that Grimsby game, but the last time he played before that, funny enough, was actually my birthday, and it was too long. You know, it's too long, so it makes sense of us to loan him out. You know, get him a move where he's going to be playing regularly. He's already scored for Shrewsbury. You know, I think it was a pre-season game, but he's already scored. You know, he seems like he's enjoying himself there already, so it's good. It's a good one, and it's one I felt we definitely should have done. You know, due to him getting a lack of at Burton. But your thoughts on it, Dad?
Yeah, exactly the same. Burton, he weren't getting in there at all. They changed managers as well. Then he come back to us. He had a poor game against Grimsby. He's definitely got ability, but I feel like he definitely needs some, you know, proper EFL football. Yeah, like most of our players have been, you know, over the years, etc. He needs that. He needs a good running a team and show what he can do. McAtee done it last season with Grimsby, and if you are good enough to play at the top level, then you will be proving that week in, week out at the lower levels. And if you do that, you'll get back in the Luton squad. If you don't, you're going to be moved on to someone else. So it's up to him to prove that. I'm sure he can.
Yeah, no, 100%. Shay also says on the Mendes Gomez thing, he says, I would have said another loan, then see what happens, but he sold him. Yeah, me personally, I think I said keep, didn't I? You know, that's because I felt he deserved the chance. But then again, you look at the signings we've done, and it was always going to be difficult for him, really. Stephen says, best of luck. Shame we never got his shot during pre-season. Yeah, no, that's true, obviously, about Mendes Gomez. And then moving on to the next one. This or another player, which we'll get into later, is at this moment in time, is one of my favourite signings so far. Tave Chong from Birmingham. Well, yeah, he was at Birmingham last season, as we know. He done well for them, considering he had 2 really bad injuries. You know, and obviously we know what he done to us when we lost 5-0. Obviously not last season, season before. And you know, he's a wicked player. You know, you've seen it in pre-season already. You know, I fought against Wolves, and I've said it openly. He was my man in the match. You know, I felt the way he was getting onto the ball, playing the ball forward. You know, teams had been struggling to deal with him. You know, even in Sheffield Wednesday game, you know, they were taking him out, and he is going to be good. He is going to be good for us. He's going to be a very good vocal point, I'm going to say, in that midfield. You know, coming into this new season, obviously, you know, was at Man United as well. You know, I think they've got a little bit, from what I can remember, from this deal. But yeah, very happy with it, man. Very happy with it, and yeah, he's gonna do well this season. I can already tell. He's already gets on really well with Ruddock, and obviously we're being linked with Hannibal as well. And you know, Chong got on very well with him at Birmingham. So with Chong coming in as well, I could see that potentially happening. You know, on loan for the season with Hannibal. So we'll see. But that's my thoughts on the signing. Your thoughts on it, Dad?
Yeah, great signing, definite Premier League quality. This is what I was talking about earlier, where you'd heard of players. Obviously, if we didn't hear about him before, he made sure we heard about him in that Birmingham game, so much so that we was applauding him at the end of the game.
Yeah,
you know, and this is a very good signing. So this already should say to certain people about the signings you're making. This is quite a statement signing. Right? Yeah, Birmingham signed him, but they've got more money and stuff. But they, both seasons he was there, they were quite poor. And he's coming into a totally different team, and you can already see he feels more confident to play the way he can play because he knows that the rest of the team are doing their jobs, so he can he can express himself. And boy, is he definitely going to express himself in the Premier League. He's our player. He's not on loan. We signed him. Probably still got on him. Future investment, regardless of the situation. A lot of these players we have signed as well. I'll touch on it. Even if we do get relegated, and we've still got January to come and next summer. And most of the players we've signed, unless they've got a relegation release clause in their contract, which I doubt, it's good for us for the future. And that's what we always do. We try and sign players that can make that step up. They don't have to necessarily already be in Premier League players or whatever, And what a lot of teams do in the Premier League is they sign players from abroad who are unproven at this level, and sometimes it just doesn't work out. And I'm not saying we'll never sign players from abroad, because I'm sure we will. We need to expand our networks and stuff, but our diligence on checking these guys out and being able to get them through the door is second to none. So great signing. He's definitely making moves. And you need that in the Premier League. You need someone who can just turn, run, dribble past 2-3 players, and he can. He can probably do that. Well, not probably do that. I mean, probably do that even against the better teams. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him start. And also, I've obviously watched the players' interviews, and his interview was really good. Again, it's just their attitude. Just seems really good, spot on. We need to, and that's what we tend to do. So, he went to Man United, played a couple of games for them, cup games. It's hard to break through them top 6 teams, but he's had to come down, drop a level, and things like that. So he's going to be relishing the chance as well to prove that he can play Premier League. So yeah, really good signing. Really pleased with that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like you say, it's one of them signings where people go, "Oh, I've never heard of him." You most likely heard of Chong. It's one of them. But so yeah, It's a
But
good signing.
if they haven't already, they don't. They, you know, the other
They'll
player,
get to know, yeah.
yeah, he's going to stand out.
Yeah, no, exactly. Stephen's thoughts on it. He says, smashed transfer record, cheese and chong, best of Dutch. Amazing, great signing. Looks the business already. Best friends with Ruddock. Gotta love it. Yeah, obviously Ruddock doing his banter like he always does, and yeah, can see that they get on well already. But yeah, moving on to the next player, another player we signed. This one's a loan, and that is Issa Kabore. Again, I'm not really going to get into it too much because obviously I've said my thoughts. So I'll let you go straight into this one, Dad.
Yeah, obviously, like he's a young star. You know, the thing is, Man City obviously see a lot of ability in him. So they've trusted that to loan him out to us. Thinks that'll be a good experience. That's a good testament in itself. That you know, because Man City, you know, with their players, they don't just willy nilly not loan them out to random teams. You know what I mean? So I think they've said, yeah, go there, show us what you can do, etc., etc. Well, it's an interesting one. He's a bit unproven. But obviously, he's going to have ability and that Premier League sort of technicality. So we'll see if he can push on with that. It is a loan. You know, we don't like doing them too much, but we'll see what happens. I expect us to sign probably a permanent right back in January anyway. So
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Obviously, you know, he has had a bit of experience in there. He's played 4 games in Champions League, so we'll see if that you know is a benefit for us. But yeah, I'll say I'm not going to get into it too much because obviously I've already said my thoughts. And then one that's gone out on loan, I didn't know Stephen's going to love this one, is Fred. He's went on loan to Rotherham for the season, of course. I can't even remember if I said my thoughts on this. I think I did. You know, but long story short, yeah, I did actually. I said it was always going to be difficult for him since, you know, I'll say it, even though we get onto it, since Giles has come in, because, you know, Fred, when he was coming on, was obviously playing as a wing back. And obviously, you know, with Giles now coming in, on the left side, you've got Giles, you've got Bell. Obviously, Doughty can play there sometimes as well. And then on the right, Doughty, Kabore. It's always going to be difficult for Fred to be there. Even Clark sometimes plays as a right wing back, which is rare, but you do see it sometimes. So it's always going to be difficult. You know, I think I did actually, when we done our keep sell loan, I think I did actually say loan him. You know, I was debating loan or sell, I remember. So it makes sense, and he'll do well at Rotherham. And when you think about it, it's technically their replacement for Chio, really. That's sort of how I see it, because when Fred has played, he's played a couple games. You know, he has played on that right where Chio was for Rotherham. So yeah, that's mine on it. But your thoughts on this one, Dad?
yeah, he started the last game. They got beaten. I think he was like wing back. I think he's better going forward. I think he's got technical ability. I'm quite surprised that it was loan. Because I thought he would go permanently. But I feel like it's probably a loan to buy option if he does well there. I don't, you know, even if he comes back to us, I think that's it for him. You know, he's been a bit unlucky with injuries. I do remember the first game in the Championship when we signed him. We beat Peterborough 3-0.
Yeah.
He was very good in that game. And he has been, you know, he's a good professional, but that step up. So but he's still at Championship level, so we'll see what happens. You never know. But my view is that yeah, we're again, he hadn't had much game time with his squad. You know, more than others, but not enough. Um, his physicals probably weren't. He's good, but probably not quite there to be in that 25-man squad. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Stephen's thoughts on Issa signing. He says, great signing. Man City have said no in terms of signing him. So highly rated, conquered French league. Time's come to the Premier League. Yeah, exactly. See what he's like there. And obviously, Man City obviously want to keep him, like you say. So Man City want to keep him, that must tell you something, really. And then obviously on Fred, he's buzzing. He's put finally in capitals. He put enjoy Rotherham, sign him permanently in January, please. Oh my days. But yeah, moving on to the next player, which I did briefly talk about, and this is up there with Chong so far for me when it comes to signings, and that is Ryan Giles. Obviously from Wolves, obviously he was out on loan. Obviously Middlesbrough last season, 11 assists, most assists, from a fullback, wing back, etc. Defender, I mean, in the Championship, obviously set up Akpom. He nearly touched on 30 goals a lot. And yeah, buzzing. His crossing ability is brilliant. Second to none. We've already seen that in games. He got an assist yesterday in one of the games. And, he got an assist for Elijah against Wolves, but obviously it didn't count. Elijah just offside. So you've seen that his quality's already there when it comes to crossing. And he's very direct, and I can see him getting a lot of assists this season. So, Wolves were gutted to let go of him. Obviously Middlesbrough fans, some of them just chatting absolute waffle, but some of them understood it, and you've got to. It's a Premier League team now, we are, so you're not going to turn that opportunity down. But, yeah, buzzing with his signing. Your thoughts on it, Dad?
Yeah, great signing. Definitely. I said it to you anyway. I think he'll be up there with getting a lot of assists in the Premier League this season. He's probably one of the best crossers in the country. And defensively, apparently he's lacking a bit, but we haven't really seen that here. At our club, so we'll see. But I feel that it's a versatility thing. We won't necessarily be playing him at left back. We might play him left wing, put Bell in left back or whatever. We might even address that situation still. Play with more at the back, especially if Burke and Osho become fit as well. So, but he's going to be vital because he's definitely got that ability, without a doubt, and he's deserves that place in the Premier League, I think. So yeah, in the friendly, he was pretty decent. The commentators were acting as if he was the only player that we had, but it's their player, kind of ex-player. But yeah, he's a very good signing. I'm pleased we got it over the line.
Yeah. When I heard the rumours, I was buzzing. Obviously, as you not know. And then the last signing so far, hopefully a few more to come, is finally a goalkeeper. And that is Thomas Kaminski, obviously from Blackburn. When I first heard the rumours, I was a bit like, okay, fair enough. But obviously, seeing a bit more of him, seeing a bit more of his career, I'm happy with it, to be honest. Obviously, he was the main starter at Blackburn last season. Then he had an injury, and then the second choice started doing really well, so it's hard to throw him out the team. I've spoke to Blackburn fans, and they say he's definitely worthy of playing in the Premier League. He's got that quality. They say about his distribution's a little bit shaky, but again, I don't really look into that because, I said it the other day, even the best keepers in the world, your Allisons, your Edisons, their distribution can be shaky at times. Look at Edison's in the Champions League final. That's what I was saying the other day, for example. So it's one of them, as long as he's doing his main job, shot stopping, I'm not too fussy, saving the shots. And, what I have noticed from what I've seen of him is he obviously a lot of keepers do it, but he does it really well. And Rob Edwards spoke about it when obviously it was announced. He comes out very well, and, he makes himself look like really big, which obviously is going to help. And some of the saves he's made, last season was phenomenal. So I think it's good, man. Obviously, Amari Bell was a massive help of him coming over the line to Luton, because obviously when Bell was at Blackburn, so I could say Agent Bell there, really. But no, it's a good signing. It is a good signing, but, I've said it, we still need another one for me. And obviously, like I say earlier, we've been linked with Ruddy, which, as a backup, you can't really complain. I don't feel it'd be a very good backup. So we'll see. We'll see what goes on. Might even be linked with others as the days go on. But ideally, I think we need another one just in case he gets injured. Obviously, touch wood, he doesn't. But yeah, that's what I got to say on it. And yeah, obviously check out the video if you didn't the other day. Big up to everyone that has. It's doing bits. So yeah, big up yourselves. But Daz, your thoughts on Thomas Kaminski?
Good signing. It's always difficult with goalkeepers because really, unless like they massively stand out for York, you're not really looking at them. But it's the right age. He's 30 to go into the Premier League. He's got enough. He's got that balance of experience and that hunger still. He's before he got injured, they were top of the league for ages. You remember last season they were doing well. He was, like you say, making good saves, etc. When he first signed for them, I think he was player of the season.
Yeah, he was it.
So yeah, like it's a good signing. He's strong. I think he's a Belgium international, but he was actually eligible to play for Poland because his dad is the name Kaminski. He's actually Polish, so I know he's going to have that grit and that proper toughness as well, and mentality for the Premier League. So yeah, I think it's a good signing. Bargain, got him quite cheap really. Like it seems crazy, like 2.5 million. Like we ain't spent that last. Bought Morris apparently allegedly for 2 million, and now you know what I mean. We spend it. We're not spending stupid money. And we knew we wouldn't do that anyway. We're not going to be signing someone for 10 million unless they're absolutely proven at that level. Simple as that. We're paying a lot of money for some players now still. But Chong, he'll repay us that. Anderson definitely will, and this guy will. There's possibly add-ons in there, but I would say that he was going to be their number one keeper. I think he started quite a few pre-season games. So I'm glad we got it over the line. I'm not too sure about the West Brom rumour, whether that was true or not. And if it was, and he turned us down because of the relegation payment, wages drop if we get relegated, then that's all you need to know. As soon as someone says that, when other players clearly have signed that contract, with that in mind, you're covering yourselves. It's a normal thing to do for clubs, especially Luton are going to definitely do that. So apparently he had a stinker anyway in his last game. So we probably, if we was looking at him, we dodged a bullet there. But there was Kaminski rumours before we were looking at this other guy anyway. So maybe it was just one of them rumours. But yeah, I'm really pleased. Like you say, we definitely need a backup keeper with Premier League ability, and I believe that's what we've always been looking at. That's why I've been linked with Begovic, Heaton, because they've got that, and Ruddy's got that. Yes, for Birmingham, but he has played a hell of a lot in the Premier League, so he would be an ideal, to whisper in Kaminski's ear or whatever and go, look, this gets like this, or his wisdom and stuff like that. I'd be very happy with Ruddy signing for us. And he probably would know that he'd be a backup as well. Depends what he wants. But if he wants to play in the Premier League again for another time, we'll see. But he's 36. It's all down to him, I think. Because he's played there a lot of time. He might think, no, I don't want to. Do you know what I mean? But I think even if Kaminski got injured and we had to play with Ruddy, I'd still be quite happy with that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
we'll see. But yeah, Kaminski himself is definitely going to be starting. And that's sort of a lot of people panicking about the goalkeeper situation. But as I've said to you privately, it's difficult. It's one of the most difficult positions to recruit. And we have struggled with it or been unlucky with it over the years as well, where we've got players and they've got injured and we've had to get people on loan. It's happened quite a lot with us. So hopefully, we get this one right. And, Kaminski, I think he'll be fine. It's just that the next keeper, there was rumours of Walton, but Walton would be wanting to start he ain't going to come to be backup keeper. You need someone with that bit of experience who's happy to do that. You know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go through some comments because obviously that's all the signing spoken about now. Giles at Epic signing says Stephen, also a permanent left side is crucial, not many about. Yeah, exactly. Best cross I saw in Championship last season.
He'd be one of the best crossers in the Premier League. 100%. 100%.
Yeah, he's already gone in my FPL, mate. Trust me.
Honestly, he's got that ability.
Yeah, no, he will get a lot of assists, I reckon. Hi T, does he? Big up yourself, Spencer, mate. Hope you're well. Stephen about Kaminsky, happy about getting him as he is proven in some European leagues. Only is out of Blackburn's side due to injury. I think this is a big plus. Yeah. So yeah, the thing about Heaton though is I think because obviously De Gea's gone, obviously Onana's going to be the starter. He had an absolute mare yesterday or whatever it was. I think he's going to be the backup. So it's always going to be difficult for me to get him because I that was someone I heavily wanted as well. But I think Kaminsky would do better than people think, man. I really do. So there's that. And then what we're going to talk about next is obviously pre-season games. Obviously, certain games we only managed to see highlights because they weren't out or on anything to watch. So we'll briefly, casually, just talk about the goals in the first game we had, which was a 3-1 victory over Peterborough. McAtee scored a very good goal in that. That's someone you keep bigging up to me. Dad, obviously, he was like that with Osho. Said he'll come good, and obviously he has. So hopefully McAtee can be the same. Obviously when he was out on loan at Grimsby, last season we saw in that Southampton game, for example, when he come on in the FA Cup, he was brilliant. So I definitely think that he can be a good player, and he scored a very good goal in that game. Obviously for them, Clark Harris scored, which ain't really a surprise. He's a wicked player. But we look good. Obviously, it was a weird game because, in the sense where we were playing at England's training ground out of all places. But what did you make, of what you vaguely saw in that game?
Yeah, like it was just obviously a friendly. But what I was pleased with is I know they've got a good side. They've got full, momentum going up. They proved that. But I think they beat Sunderland earlier. They're on an upward trajectory. They've got some, good players. What I'm on about? Talking about Peterborough, aren't we? You saying Ipswich?
Was I?
Yeah.
Sorry,
yeah. It's Clark Harris, isn't it? So yeah. But they still, for me, I think they're going to be up there. They'll get automatic this season. They've got Darren Ferguson back again. Clark Harris is proven in that division, and yeah, we should obviously be in Premier, even Championship. We should be beating them. And yeah, it was just comfortable. It was comfortable. We could, it was almost just a relaxed sort of vibe. I think Morris scored, didn't he?
Yeah, Morris got a goal.
But yeah, just comfortable. And McAtee, like I said, he's definitely gonna be surprised. He's definitely gonna be included in that squad, in my opinion. And I think he's gonna surprise a few people this season. He's definitely got ability. Grimsby, he was good. Stood out. This is what I was saying earlier about the Thorpe move. He stood out. You could see he was miles better than that league. And when he come on against Southampton, I don't know why they didn't start him. He was making moves, and they're poor Premier League team time, but still Premier League team, and he just looked, he looked really good. And friendly recently as well against Wolves when he come on, he was he was tracking back as well, the Luton way. He's got ability. And his brother, I believe, plays for Sheffield United. So they're probably got some sort of rivalry going on between them. So that's going to be interesting. And I've got a feeling that they could end up playing against each other at some point in the season. So.
Yeah. Definitely. And then the next one, game again, we didn't really manage to see, was Ipswich. Obviously, it was a 1-1 draw. Obviously, it was at Colchester's ground. But obviously, Ipswich took the lead. Bit of an annoying goal to concede. I'm not going to lie. I know it's only pre-season, but still, you want to try and not see these mistakes. Obviously, Potts, I felt he could have done a little bit better. People were saying Potts and Chong, but I'm not really on the Chong sort of slander for that goal because, he's an attacker anyway. And Potts was more near it. Potts is the defender. Direct cross went in. It's a bit of a frustrating goal to concede. But then obviously, we scored later on. Chio looked very good in this game. Obviously, he earned the penalty. It was definitely a penalty. Morris took it away very well. Obviously sent the keeper the wrong way. And it was a decent performance. Obviously, it is only pre-season. So, at the same time, it's always good to, as much as it is pre-season, not be on a losing sort of run in that sense. You want a bit of confidence going into the season proper. But yeah, it was one of them. It was also interesting in that game because Macy swapped for Shea in the 75th minute. You'd have thought that would have been at half time, but yeah, your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, very similar. Like I was saying earlier before we got confused with the teams and that. But Ipswich are a good team. They're on the up. And it was a little bit, a tester for us. They had pretty much their best team out, I believe, at the time. Mostly chopped and changed, obviously. We still, showed our ability when we needed to. And yeah, as you say, it's definitely a penalty. And a very good penalty as well. So yeah, it is what it is with that one.
Yeah. Obviously on James McAtee, his brother is really good too. He was only on loan. That's a good shout, actually. He's back at City now.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that. Wow. So there you go then. But I'm telling you, our McAtee is good.
Yeah, he is. He is definitely. He definitely is. And then the next game we managed to fully watch. Obviously, we watched it together. Was Sheffield Wednesday. Obviously, big up to all the Luton fans that went to that. Obviously on the Saturday. Obviously, we come up winning 2-1. Obviously, I remember I just done a prediction, because I've done a video before that. I said 1-1. Did have a sneaky feeling we'd maybe sneak it 2-1. But obviously, how the game went, they got a penalty near the start of the game. Nakamba, you can't be doing that in the Premier League. I'm not going to lie. Giving away a penalty like that, how he did. Shane nearly got it, but didn't quite get it. Sheffield Wednesday took the lead. And then we started to get a bit more into it. A lot of our players were getting taken out in this game. Chong did, like I mentioned earlier. Kabore, got in. He didn't get injured, but he got fouled quite badly, and he was down for quite a while. And you was thinking, "Oh no, come on, not already." But he was all right in the end. And then Chong obviously set up Ruddock. Ruddock, he only scores bangers, doesn't he? It was one of them. And then obviously going into the second half, we were on the front foot really. I would say for most of it, and then obviously eventually we got a goal. Morris obviously scored the goal. Brilliant play, brilliant pass through by Campbell, who played it to Elijah and then played it across to Morris. Then them two linking up again. And in that sense, it's actually similar. Not the goal, but just them two linking up to how it was when we played Sheffield United away in the league. In that sense. But we won that one. It was a good win. It's even though it's a friendly, it was always going to be a difficult place to go to. Newly promoted, they'd be buzzing as well. Because obviously they're up in the Championship. Obviously we're up in the Premier League. So both teams were happy going into it and looking forward to it in that sense. But yeah, what did you make of that Sheffield Wednesday game?
It was very lethargic at points, especially from their point of view. They were quite dirty as well. He took out Chong straight away. I've seen this over the last couple of games, and I think it'll carry on towards the Premiership, where certain players, you can see that they just don't. They don't respect us. Do you know what I mean? And you can see that they're quite angry about it in this game. I don't know why Sheffield Wednesday, just got promoted or whatever. But you can see it. But Wolves, especially, we'll get into that. But we definitely looked the better side when we needed to. They weren't really forcing the game to us. That's what I was on about. Frustration. They weren't like trying that much. But when we did have the ball, when we had control of it, we definitely looked like the Premier League team, or the better team, much better than them. Woodrow missed a couple of chances. The penalty. My mate said it before we signed him on loan. I think he said he's got a card in him, that guy. And
just quickly as well, I haven't touched on it. Apologies to cut you off. Your thoughts on the Campbell coming back? That's another one we haven't mentioned.
I am pleased. I am pleased because he's definitely got that ability. He's got that experience. He can probably, on his day, can play well against any team in the Premier League, in my opinion. It's just that his natural game is just get in there, get stuck in there, and he will get sent off. He will give penalty fouls, or he will, and that's the only thing. But overall, like 90% of the time, he's great. Sunderland, the first Sunderland game, for instance, I thought he was going to get sent off. He weren't really doing anything. Even his passing he just weren't getting the ball and things like that. It was terrible. But the next game, totally different. So we need, as long as that's at a minimum, because it will happen because it's in his natural game, unfortunately. But as long as it's at a minimum, obviously pleased. He wants to be at the club. And he was a massive reason why we did end up getting that promotion over the line and getting into the playoffs and things like that. So that's what we're looking at. He's already affiliated with all the team, gets on well with them all. Clumsy sort of. Shea actually nearly got a hand to that. And then obviously the equaliser, very good cutback from Chong. Great goal from Pelly. And he's
only scores bangers.
Yeah, exactly. And I can't wait for him to score in the Premier League because he will. And then obviously the winning goal was just, you could see that the ability was there. We just sort of just cut him open a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And it was quite easy. And fair play to Campbell as well, because he's actually very determined in the games that I have seen him. And he's getting forward a little bit more, and that's what I think that we need from him. And I have said it before that I think his style of play will be good in the Premier League because he does harry you and things like that. I just think it suits him. So it's going to be interesting to see if he starts or when he starts and that. When I'm sure he will, because Nakamba's probably going to get switched around a little bit as well. Because he's slightly older, and like I said, potentials of yellow cards getting banned for this, that, and the other. I think Campbell's probably going to step into that role. Obviously, they're completely different players in certain aspects, but Campbell will still give you. He's good at defence as well. So,
yeah, no, I definitely agree. And like you say, they get in people's faces, so. There's something that's similar with them. I didn't actually notice until just now. He scored against Bayern Munich, McAtee. They actually had quite a strong team out, Bayern Munich. Obviously, City won that 2-1, so fair play. And then Stephen's thoughts on that Sheffield Wednesday game says, wasn't as fluent as we can be, but our quality and fitness shown. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly that. And then moving on to the last couple of games, obviously we've had in this pre-season. The next one was Wolves. Again, we watched this one together. Obviously, I liked having a friendly like this because it is a Premier League team. It's good to see, what it's going to be like against the team that we're going to be up against, and a team that I think will be in a battle with us, to be honest. When it comes to the relegation battle, I think a load of teams, as you lot would have seen. But yeah, it was an interesting one. I thought personally, most of the first half until the last 10, 15 minutes, I would say the first bit of that, it was, it weren't necessarily Wolves dominating, but they were just on the ball, they were on the ball a lot more sort of thing. But then I thought after that, we grew into it. I thought Chong was really good. Like I said it the other day, he was my man of the match. If I'd done one in this game, just the way, again, he was getting fouled, similar to Sheffield Wednesday. Struggling to deal with him, the passes he was playing forward, that sort of thing. But it was a crazy one because we did score 3 goals in this game, but obviously they're all, didn't count. Like I said earlier, the Elijah one was very unlucky. Brilliant crossing by Giles, and it was good. It was good. It was a good performance. We grew into it. Like I said, towards the end of the first half and most of the second half, I'd say we were the better side, if not pretty much all of it. To be honest, Wolves they were good in their build-up play, but their final third was awful. And I think that's what might cost them this season, to be honest. But we'll see. But overall, with that, I was happy. Obviously, it is a pre-season, but it's good to see that we are able to compete with these teams, which I knew we would be able to anyway. But to see it in the flesh, sort of thing, was good. So, yeah, it was away as well, so that's always good. But what did you make of the 0-0 draw?
But it's a funny one because initially I was a bit like, whoa, like, because their passing, was excellent, but you're going to get that in the Premier League. Everyone tries to play like that, and most teams try and play like that in the Premier League. It's whether it damages you is the main thing. And then, yes, there was a couple of opportunities for them in especially in the first half where they probably should have scored, but they didn't. We didn't look. They looked better than us, but I feel it was more because it's still pre-season, and it's the Premier League. It's a Premier League team. They do play differently from teams in the EFL. So we were just sort of like seeing what was going on as well. We were still compact. They had a couple of good chances, but we wasn't necessarily getting cut open and split apart and things like that. And then we did grow into the game. There was still players that weren't playing in that game. Like Macy in goal, for instance. Who else? There's a couple of, quite a strong lineup. We gave people debuts and things like that. They did look good when they were on the ball, But you do see that in the Premier League, a hell of a lot. Yeah. So, but they were all. It was like they were trying to be cocky with it, and I think they ended up getting frustrated in the end. But which was quite funny. The commentators were so biased; it was unbelievable. Like the most I've heard for a long time, even in the Championship when we were watching games on iPower and stuff with the other team commentators. They were, I get you're going to have natural bias and that, but these guys were just way over the top. Like we should be 3-0 up. Like you've got to get the shot on target. Just because you spooned a couple, you got in good positions and you haven't scored. We've done that before. You get in good. We should have scored much more goals last season. Like we didn't. That's what you need to address sometimes. You can be good going. You could have all that sort of nice passing and stuff, but if you ain't got that end product and you ain't clinical in that department, you're going to struggle. So yeah, you could see, but it was it was us testing. It's a buffer thing. You got to see how these teams play, etc. But we weren't overwhelmed by it. So I was quite pleased in the end. We did make quite a lot of changes as well in the second half. And yeah, we probably, you could say that Wolves probably deserved to win because it looked better, but we've got to sort of get past that a bit. You know what I mean? We will know this anyway, but it does look a little bit daunting when teams are just passing it around like they were. Do you know what I mean? But it wasn't like they were cutting us open constantly, like say but it is a little gauge to see, because obviously there's much better teams than Wolves who will pass it like that, but they will cut you open. Obviously, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man, they're going to do that. So we will get used to it. Doughty said quite a few weeks ago about that. We're going to see, like, we know it's faster, we know we're technically better in that, but we'll learn. You know what I mean? Because that's what football, you do. You adapt. We've done it in every league we've come up pretty much. The Championship, we've done it. So why can't we do it in Premier League?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's daunting when you first see it because teams like especially with these international players, they're very, very good technically at passing and stuff. And Wolves have got a lot of international players, so it is different. So we've got to try not to look too deep into it, just analyse it for what it is. And actually, we got a clean sheet. We actually got the ball in the back of the net a couple of times. Yeah, it was offside, definitely, but on another day, and it was a good finish by Elijah as well. First finish. So overall, it was quite it was a reflection of basically what we can do. We weren't 100% on our game either, was we? Let's be honest.
No.
So, we know we can play better than that. So, yeah.
I'm
pleased with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's go through some comments. Spence says the only thing that City doesn't win is the Community Shield. I think they'll win at least 3 trophies this year, including the league. I've already said it, mate. I've literally put it on my social medias. They'll win the league. It always happens. They always lose the Community Shield, but then they win the league. And I think people are acting a bit too reactionary because this is, a pre-season game. Do you know what I mean? So I just think people are overreacting, to be fair. I still think City, the replacements they're doing. Arsenal, for me, still need another striker to win the league, personally. Because obviously Jesus is out. Nketiah's not good enough. He's not good enough. And they don't really give Balogun that chance. So that's how I see it. And even the replacements City are doing, Gundogan, Kovacic for him. You saw today, Kovacic is a good player. Guardiola's going to be coming in. He's a good defender. So we'll see, man. We'll see. But still think City will win it. Maybe a few others. We held our own and looked assured in all departments. I was happy. Macy was the worry. Yeah, quite a few people are bigging him up a bit too much, I did feel. That save where he parried at it and it got it over. It was a bit lucky, in my opinion. But we've got Kaminsky now. Just need to get another one through the door, and I'm happy. I'm happy. Yeah, that's how I could see it. So yeah, there's that. And then the final 2 games, obviously, we yesterday, obviously we had a double header in that sense. Obviously, we played Bochum in Germany. Big up. I know a few Luton fans actually went to it, so big up to them. Big up to everyone, of course. Obviously, we took on them in a double header. Like I said, the first game was at 12:30. Don't know what that stupid echo was, but that was a bit annoying. And then obviously the second game was at 3:15. Obviously the first game we took our first defeat in pre-season, and it was interesting because I said, right, it'd be typical Luton. We have the better squad out in the first game, and we'll probably lose that. And then second game, not the worst squad, but when you look at it, you would say, if you had to do the first team, that team versus the other team, you'd say the first team would win, sort of thing. And then the other team will win. That's what happened. And yeah, the first game, obviously, I've only seen, little clips. I haven't managed to see the game, because highlights haven't actually come out. I think the only thing to do with it is Rob Edwards' his reactions to it. But obviously, the first game we did concede first. It wasn't a great watch to see that goal conceded. It looked like we did go with a different formation in this game. It looked to me like a 4-3-3 because the lineup, obviously, I'll read it out, so then you'll be able to understand it more so from there. So Kaminsky was obviously in goal. It was good to see that he was obviously starting in goal. Bell Lockyer. I'm just going to name it because Flash Wars have got it completely wrong. So Bell Lockyer, Giles, Kabore, Nakamba, Clark, Ruddock, Chong, Morris, and Chio. So to me, that is obviously, again, I don't know. Like I said, I think it was a 4-3-3. I really do. I just think, yeah, it was probably. I just don't know who was in defence with Lockyer and Bell. Was it Giles or Kabore? That's who you'd probably say it was, because obviously you know, the three would be Ruddock wouldn't be in defence. That's what it says on here. So I think it was a chop and change, and I guess if there is a time to do it, it is pre-season. It makes sense with that sense. But Lockyer and Bell, it wasn't great to see. Let's be honest. Defensively on that first goal, but Lockyer redeemed himself. Giles obviously got the assist, another cross. It's a good header. Good header, like I said, he redeemed himself. And then they scored again. I haven't seen the goal, but obviously they went on to win that. We made some changes towards the end. And also what I did notice, actually, apart from McAtee, even though he's, fairly young, but compared to the others, he isn't. Other than McAtee, it was just youngsters on the bench in the first lineup. So it's one of them. I guess, like I say, if there is a time to do the mistakes, it is pre-season. The only worry for me is, it's not a worry because we changed formation, but in a certain sense, obviously, it's a week until literally after that, for them players, is the next game, which is obviously Brighton, which is going to be a test. So hopefully we don't see any of that in that game. But what did you make of what you heard and saw of that first game?
Very similar. Like the goal was, schoolboy defending kind of thing. Like the lineup, for me, it looked like Nakamba was in the back three. Like I couldn't really work it out without seeing it as well. Lockyer, typical Lockyer, redeems himself, scores a header, and then does his shoelaces up. You know what I mean? Like. And again, it's puts it straight on his head. Brilliant fucking delivery, and in that week in week out, and he's going to cause a lot of problems because we've got the players who've got that ability. Just Lockyer will score in the Premier League as well, and I can't wait. So it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? Rob Edwards was saying that someone looked tired. That's what happens. They must have amped up the intensity levels, etc., for the Premier League as well. So, he said quick turnaround from the Wolves game as well, which was a bit of an eye opener, like we discussed. So it's not that, it's not that. And then we won the second game. So
yeah, which we'll get into now. Just like that, obviously the final game. Obviously, the lineup, I'll read the lineup out in this one. So it was Matt Macy in goal. Quite a few youngsters played in this, which was good to see. Johnson, Francis Clark, Odell Batcher, I think that's how you say his name. Potts was in this one. Watson, Woodrow, Doughty, Campbell, Berry, Elijah. And then the bench was Anderson, Batson, Horlick, who is the goalkeeper. He was on the bench for both games. So I thought maybe he'd get run out in one of them. Luca McAtee again. He was on the bench in the first lineup as well. And Zach Nelson, who's a youngster that I rate very highly for us. But obviously we took the lead. Luke Berry. Whoever passed that ball through, I still haven't managed to see it. I just see a clip of the ball being played through to him. Whoever played that ball, that was a phenomenal pass. Set him up one-on-one. Berry's not going to miss that. Good goal. And then they did equalise 3 minutes later. So obviously there's 1-1 going into it. And then second half, Elijah scored, from, I think it was a cross, from what I heard. I haven't managed to see it. And then Berry scored a diving header 2 minutes later. And then obviously went on to win 3-1. So Berry, I think he is going to be, going into this season, I think he's going to be one of them, obviously for the neutrals, because the disrespect we get in that, but he's going to be one of them people that's going to come into clutch like he has in previous seasons where he's come on from the bench. I think he'll be like that again at times. He's definitely got the capability. I'm not going to say to play in the Premier League, but to do well against teams in the Premier League. Even when we played Chelsea in the FA Cup, at Kenilworth Road, he was very good in that game. So I have faith in him. You know, and I said a couple of years ago, you know, 2 seasons ago now, I don't think he was good enough, you know, for the championship, and he proved me wrong. So I think being you know, that player that can be that super sub in that sense, I think he'll do well, like he has for us anyway. But it's good to see that he got a double. Good to see Elijah get on the score sheet. And again, he's another player that we think will do very well this season. Elijah, so yeah, that's my thoughts on it. It was good to wrap it up with a win. But yeah, your thoughts on the final game in pre-season?
Like I say, I've only seen various goals, but what I found interesting is them youngsters that you mentioned that did start. Obviously, they've been heavily involved in pre-season. They actually come on against Wolves as well and done all right. And they have in other games as well. I think they don't need to be in that 25-man squad because they're under a certain age, but we can still use them, I think. But something like that, it works like that. And I think that is the case. I think we are going to start blooding some youngsters. We'll see, you know. I was really pleased with that. Barry, has made the step up and does. He's definitely got the ability and the hunger and the intelligence as well. And he's another one I think could be good in situations in the Premier League. He'll definitely be in that squad. I probably won't be starting that much, especially if we do get Hannibal as well. But he's definitely a weapon. He's definitely a weapon to come on and cause havoc. And you know, he want to prove himself at that level, and he will definitely. He's another one who's definitely going to score in the Premier League. And you know, don't forget some of these players have played for right lower down the leagues, you know, and of that, and they're going to take this, you know, both hands. So yeah, it's a good result, and that's it now. Get the other signings in. I'm pretty sure we're still going to sign a keeper, a striker, and Hannibal.
That's exactly what I think.
And that'll be it. There'll be outgoings as well. It's got, you know, Piera, Musquay, possibly Macy as well, I'd say.
Glenn Ray. It's already been announced, hasn't it? For Musquay, Ray.
Just looking for clubs, basically. So I expect us to sign definitely at least 2, probably 3. Definitely another keeper. Hannibal, I'd say that's probably highly likely to happen.
Yeah, from what I've heard on that, it just sounds like it's all on him, really.
He's an excellent player. He is really, really good. And it's like we'll probably get looking at a striker with a lot of experience. We was linked with who was it? We was linked with the former Bournemouth striker,
Joshua King. That's it.
Yeah, doesn't score a lot, you know, but he did have a brilliant season with Bournemouth, probably when they were like first in the Premier League, etc. So I could see the reasoning behind that because we've got enough strikers. It's just that experience as well, and that. So I could potentially see that happening. Maybe not him, but someone of that ilk. And let's go. You know, surprises. Like I say, there's going to be. I think Elijah's going to cause a lot of problems. Because there weren't really any other strikers like Elijah in the Premier League, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? So he's, you know, all them fouls that he was consistently getting every single game in the Championship, they're not going to be able to get away with that in the Premier League. You know, he's going to win us. Like the defender's going to be scared of him. Eventually, they're going to realise that we can't go in. We've got to be careful with this guy. And I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
The new signings. We know Chong's he's got that ability. We know Nakamba has. We know other players that definitely step up. We've players that were injured. Osho and Burke. You know, they're going to be a bit behind, which is a bit unfortunate for us. But I'm sure they'll be itching to have a go as well, force their way into the team. But you know, don't forget, you know, Osho as well can kind of play CDM. You know, we'll see who else we sign, but we can get into more into it. The lineup, the formation, everything like that. Obviously, it's going to be on the next show, and that's going to be interesting to see how it's for us to work out. You know, especially if we have signed some other players, because I do feel like we might change things up. You know, more.
I think in certain games with the opposition, especially away games, like your Etihad's, your Anfield will definitely have to change it up. Just because them grounds
sort of thing or something. Even I don't think we can really afford to do that at the moment because we've got too many centre backs out. That's the problem. So it is going to be an interesting one. Obviously, we haven't talked about Potts and Clark getting injured, but I don't think it's that serious. Might be carrying slight knocks, which might send back. I don't expect Potts to start anyway against Brighton. Clark, probably not either, to be honest with you. So,
no, I think Chong is not ahead of him, but I think Chong's more the one to go with at the moment because of how he's been.
Will be starting, and Ruddock, I feel, probably will start the first game. And if we sign Hannibal as well, we've got Campbell, we've got Berry. You know, obviously we like Clark and Marek, you know, but I don't think he's going to be. I think it would have been on the bench, and if he is carrying, a slight injury or whatever, I don't think they'll probably just give him a rest because that's what we'll do. It's tight, but I can't wait. So let's bring it on. Let's bring it on. You know, we can talk about all the negativity, you know, from social media, etc. The naivety actually of some of their fans. They clearly haven't just even, you know, there was a guy at work, Sports Coventry, you know, I've chatted to him a few times, and he was saying about the players they've signed, because they've actually signed 3 or 4 decent players. Luton haven't signed anyone. I just didn't even bother responding because I just thought you clearly haven't even checked, like, or you've just thought, I just signed that geezer from Rotherham and I haven't checked since. Do you know what I mean? Basing it on what? Like, clueless. And there's a lot of that going on, and a lot of it's just pure jealousy. And we didn't touch on that in the Wolves game. Some of the players were actually, when we were taking it past them and that, they were just fouling us because they couldn't handle it, and they're going up to the referee at the end of the game and all sorts. And I was thinking, do you know what I mean? That's going to, because you can see that the attitude on some of these players have been told by other teams, you know, especially the European players, the foreign players, and that they're going to have no clue about Luton. Whereas I'd say the English players will have more respect for us because they'll know more about our journey and what it's like. A lot of them have played in the EFL and that. Some of these foreign players who haven't played in, you know, lower leagues or whatever in any division will have that attitude and just think, these are meant to be like they were in non-league, like they're just like Wrexham. No, we're not. And you'll find that out. I've already seen them starting to talk about, you know, obviously we played very direct, you know, but in your face, you know. They were talking to Pep about, like, team, how are you going forward? Because obviously they see against Inter Milan that Inter Milan were pressing them. Brentford pressed them, and it has effect. You know, they're not used to that. And they were asking the question a lot, and they were like, a lot of teams are playing like this. But hold up, I heard before we got promoted that the way Luton play, which is exactly that like that, by the way. You know, it's no one wants that in the Premier League. You know, even the Sunderland manager, we don't want to play like that. And all of a sudden now, a lot of teams are playing like that. You know, so that was touched on. So I did pick that up. I think you do pick all this sort of stuff up. You get a lot of theatrics in the Premier League, which is going to benefit us as well. You know, like things like Odegaard last season when Arsenal started faltering, trying to give it all that to the fans. If you're playing the football and you're playing with confidence, the fans will naturally come with that anyway. You know, as long as you're making that effort, like we're going to make the effort, the fans will be singing no matter what happens. Yeah,
in fact,
you don't need to G him up, and he was doing it again in this game, and I just thought, these theatrics in the Premier League, Arteta got a yellow card for whatever, mate. It's going to play into our hands so much, and we are going to shuffle them, and they will be like, teams are sort of changing the way. No, we're changing the way that the football will be played in the Premier League. I'm putting that out there now. So
I agree.
Regardless, even if we do get relegated, the squad we're building, the foundations we've got that money, we've got that character. Everyone's still going to be. You've got to be positive. You've got to be positive. As long as we go down fighting, if we do go down, I'm not bothered. Absolutely not bothered. It's not the be all and end all because we've done it, and we've got them foundations now even more secured. We've got their players will all be under contract. Sometimes it can be difficult, deflating and things like that. But the mentality of the club and stuff like that, they'll just keep recruiting them better, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in January, depending where we are, etc. But I think we've got enough to stay up anyway.
Yeah, and you look at Wolves as well, for example. They've got FFP problems. We're not going to have them sort of things because of the way we spend on that, and a lot of these teams will. So it's going to benefit us. For me, let's go through some final comments before we wrap up very shortly. Big up to Billy, who put this earlier. Put evening, lads. Big up to yourself, mate. Big up to Shay saying we love you, Hatters. Of course, mate. Of course. Stephen saying going to be a hell of a season. Enjoy the ride. Yeah, exactly. There'll be ups and there'll be downs.
There'll definitely be downs, but we in the back of our minds,
it's just how we respond to it the week after, or a couple of days after, or whatever. It's not what the Premier League could be like, rescheduled games. Shay says, I love this club so much. Giles and Chong have really... Yeah, exactly. They're, I said earlier, them two, I don't know which one's my signing that I'm happy these signings, but, my most favourite signing that we've done so far. I guess for me, it'll be based on who plays better sort of thing, even though I think they both do brilliant anyway. They're both, for example, in my fantasy, they're both already in it. So, I just think that of that. Another season incoming. Good luck to Luton and every other club. Yeah, no, absolutely. But, it's a pre-season. Obviously, we only ended up losing one game. So it's good, good confidence going into this Premier League season. Obviously, we're not going to get too much into it, but obviously we've got Brighton, so we'll see how that goes. It'll be a good test. Obviously, it's a team that we're, moving in a similar direction to. They're just a couple of years ahead. So in that sense, it'd be good to see how it is. They're a European team as well now. So, yeah, man, looking forward to it away from home. And, yeah, we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, that is where we're going to wrap up. Any final things you'd like to say, Dad, about anything?
Sorry guys, it's been a long time, but it is what it is. But we would, we've done it, so we had plenty to talk about. We didn't want to be like just every time we made a signing doing it, and assessing it and still appreciating the fact of that transitional period, because it is clearly a big step up. So just enjoy the ride. I just can't wait. Obviously, there is a lot of negativity and stuff, but once we get going, once we start, playing and doing well and upsetting teams and just everyone we'll just get that respect, and then that's what we deserve. And it's a no-lose situation for us. It's a no-lose situation. Just remember that. Just enjoy the ride, and hopefully we can have a magical season regardless.
Yeah, and obviously now that shows, and pretty much every other week. Obviously, there's some games where we don't play, but as it stands, we got a lot coming up. Obviously, Friday we'll do one to the Brighton game. Obviously, the week after that was meant we'll play Burnley, so obviously it won't do anything there. But then obviously after that we got Chelsea away, so it's going to be good. It's going to be good, and got some big things planned, like I said, when it comes to other content creators coming on the Hatter shows. So yeah, I'm sure you guys will like them. But man, big up to everyone that's tuned in. Shay says, just quickly, I'll go through this. Chong reminds me of Villa Grealish. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
Do hear them similarities. Definitely the way he's on the ball, runs forward.
Yeah.
Not afraid to to try and take it on, sort of thing. So no, I definitely agree on that. But yeah, that is where we're going to wrap up. Big up to everyone that's tuned in. We're currently on 13 likes, so big up to yourselves. I know a lot of people watch this back on playback as well, so big up to yourselves on that if you do. As for new subscribers, we've gained a lot over the last couple of days. We've actually gained, I think, another one in this stream, or another one or two. I can't remember how many I was on before the start of this, but we're getting ever so closer to 1,800. Obviously, the next target is 2,000, so hopefully we can get to that by the time. I'll say by the time the season is done. So that hopefully we can. Yeah, big up to everyone that checked out the Thomas Kaminsky joining and Hannibal being rumoured. That's actually got a lot of new subscribers from that as well. So big up to yourselves. Yeah, turn on the notification bell if you haven't already. Follow me on the other socials, the other channel as well, T-Boys TV Extra. Follow me on that. Put a lot of shorts out to, clips from this. TikTok, follow me on that. Instagram, everything. Even Twitch. Started a Twitch where I'm gonna do some gaming, gaming stuff. Probably a lot more on the new EA when it comes out, to be honest, with LUTON, especially now we've got players that will look like him, Kenilworth Road. It'll be sick. So we'll see, man. But big up to everyone that's tuned in. Big up to everyone. And subscribe, like, comment, all of that, share. And let's go through the last load of comments. So, yeah, there we go with that. What is going on with this? Spencer says, take care all. Billy says, Luton Town at Stamford Bridge. Really hard to imagine that. Can't wait. It's going to be sick, man. It's going to be sick, obviously. Chelsea fans, it's going to be interesting. And that'll be my first watch-along that I'll be doing to the new season, Chelsea. So it's going to be good, man. Can't wait. Common New Hatters. Stephen says, well said, does respect. Take care, Spence. I don't know why I clicked on that one because that wasn't necessarily to us, but it's all right. Shay says, TV channel's going to be booming. But yeah, hopefully, mate, that'd be great. And like I say, I've got some big collabs coming up for the season that I've already sorted out. So yeah, we'll see, man. It is mad because it's usually the FA Cup. No, I know what you're saying. It's usually the FA Cup, isn't it? So we will see. As for content, not really too sure unless news comes out. Obviously, if we sign someone, I'll do a video. If we get rumoured to someone. But ideally, probably more so signings now because there is only a week left in the sense of till the Premier League. So, yeah, we'll see. But obviously, it'll be back again on Friday. The first Premier League game. And, some new stuff will be on that as well, on that stream. So, until then, take care and peace. Up, down. Come on,